All right, welcome everybody. This is the Sandpoint Arts Commission monthly meeting for 5/14/2020. So let's call to order. I'm Ellie. Roll call.
Mary Burgess.
Carol Kowalczyk.
Tricia Walker.
Let's see. So the financial report is first this time. It's the same numbers as last time, so we'll just continue. We need to have approval of last month's minutes. May I have a motion to approve the April 9th, 2020 regular meeting minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Can I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Onward to old business. So we have the call for proposals for the Silver Box project. And Aaron, would you like to go over what you have put together?
Yeah, so really this is what I took was essentially the same call we did last year. We do have a revised legal agreement that's just settled, nothing substantially changed, matches the call, but legal has reviewed that, so we're ready to post that along with the call. If it looks okay to you to do so, and I've kind of put together a draft schedule here. So if you're, you're amenable to releasing this next week, you can do so. And I thought a month, I think we did a month last time to close the call. So that would be the end of June. So that gives us your meeting in July. You can review and make a recommendation to the city council, and then you can hopefully get it on right then and there on their agenda for them to approve or select the art formally. And that gives us time to execute the contracts, get the plaques ordered in July, and there's kind of a month buffer in there. At the end of August, where the existing art will be removed for the existing contracts. And then that'll get us, hopefully, the idea is to get them up just before Labor Day week.
Okay.
We'll get some exposure right off the bat. The target date to shoot for, and so that's why I put Labor Day in there.
Okay.
So when this comes out, will there be a link on the website that we can share, like through social media and through our own email contact?
We can certainly make that happen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I might get
I can definitely ask Jennifer and Mary about promoting it on social media as well as our city website.
Right.
Maybe even a press release.
And we can share. And that was my second question, was about a press release, because I think sometimes people don't always realize this comes in and out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that we're kind of through the first one was going to be the hardest, of course,
right.
Where do they go or the boxes. Yeah. And, now that we've kind of gotten rolling, we can, I think, do a better job of getting outreach and be better prepared for that and get the word out and promote it. So, yeah.
Promotes the Arts Council too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we can certainly, I think, reach out to, and I guess Hannah, we didn't hear from Hannah, but we can definitely make sure she's aware, and she can put it out and hopefully on their newsletter, and get more buzz this time around.
Actually, Hannah's with the museum now.
Oh,
so
she has a different email.
Yes, we need to find that out. Because
darn it.
Yeah.
I forgot. Shoot.
She's actually with it, because I know she's in the same building, but she's actually now working for. She's working for the museum.
The museum.
I was thinking the conservatory. Okay.
So we'll need to contact the new ED at POAC, who I believe is Tony.
Yeah.
And get that arranged. So maybe you and I can work on that.
Okay.
Yeah, that that happened before, just before,
She's with the Historic Society then?
yes,
Okay.
yes. So, yeah. I'll,
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder we didn't hear from her.
yeah, shoot.
I even know Tony well and keep forgetting that I'm not putting Hannah in that.
And I thank you for making that point, because I know the last call we put out, there wasn't even a link to the call. So that was really hard for those of us who did want to share
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
to get it out to the public. That was the box project, the box route project.
Oh, okay.
So I would really like to be proactive on,
Okay.
if we're going to do a press release,
Yeah.
getting things together, you know, fairly quickly. Even if we have to help, we can do that.
For clarity, do you mean a press release about the call or about
About
the actual art that's selected?
The call.
The call.
Okay.
And,
Yes.
and be nice to include something that's already existing to remind people that that was a temporary,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be the, you know, whichever one we think might be the most popular, if we have a picture
Angry
to
Bird.
go with it. And I was thinking Angry Bird, but
Yeah, for example, when I tried to share, when I wanted to share with our local community, especially the box route project,
right.
it was very difficult because we didn't have an official link or anything. So I ended up taking, you know, screenshots and, you know, putting it on my social media. So I think it's really important that we work that out, whether it's staff or with the help of commissioners, to make that happen in a timely fashion.
Sorry, Elle. It might also be helpful to the artists if people know the heart's going to go away, the Angry Bird's going to go away. You know,
right.
so they might get some play of people saying, well, I really like that. And, you know, that might kind of say, you know, we like to promote your art while it's here. Then we're kind of showing that visibility too.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
I will inquire.
Okay. So I like the timeline. I think the timeline works.
Okay.
The only thing that I had about the body of the document was, it says an art on loan program and competition in the first sentence. And I think that we forgot to take out competition last time.
Program.
First sentence, end of the first sentence, yep. And, you know, I think that we probably should not have a competition again this year just because of the weird situations, but I don't want to say that will never happen. But for now, for this year, I think that's a good idea. I think that just got missed last time.
Did we say anything on the last call about the city purchasing one of the artworks?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Certainly, I mean, the intent is that certainly, you know, just like any original works of art, you do have the option through a different process to decide to purchase the art.
But does it say reserves the right to purchase in the wording?
That was just a question. It would be nice if we did purchase. I mean, something, because, you know, it seems that there's one, the heart really, everyone really likes the heart that I've talked to, but it would be nice to keep at least at some point, buy at least one of these pieces of artwork from an artist.
Well, I think it just,
have, you know, maybe build another plinth to put it on, and then have, because we could have our own then, you know, set of really nice sculptures in town.
Right.
Beside, you know, just murals.
Mm-hmm.
well, I think it's just going to depend on the artwork that we get and how we feel it fits in with our budget and the space available. And, you know, at this point with the master plan, the arts, culture, and historic preservation master plan coming into play, that's kind of why we haven't gone forward with a lot of projects that we may have started, because we're waiting to see how that plays out. But that definitely is a long-term goal. If something strikes our fancy and it meets all the criteria, we certainly could buy it. But right now, I'm really pleased at how this last year's project went. We had art on display for a reasonable, price to the artist, and I'm happy how it's finally played out.
Great.
Any comments? Any questions?
I have another, I have actually a comment.
Okay.
Right before we take these down, should we probably advertise that we're taking them down in case someone is interested in purchasing one of them?
Well, I think that's
Could be a
what
part of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
what
didn't,
Patricia was saying, yeah.
Okay.
If we, get that information out to the public, kind of as a segue into the new call, and also this art, that has been displayed, if you really like it, here are your options.
yeah, okay.
All right, so yeah, I think it's great the way that it's reading, with that exception of and competition. And
Okay.
if you guys, we just need to take a vote to approve that. And I read over the contract and I thought it looked fine.
Oh, okay.
I leave it to staff to,
We leave it to the attorney.
there you go.
And we all feel better about all of that.
Sounds good. All right, well then, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the call for proposal of the Sandpoint and Silver Box Project 2020.
I so motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Great, thank you.
Excellent. Exciting. Okay.
All right. So moving on to 5B. So we've been working on the comprehensive plan, and Erin, if you would give us just a quick overview for those of us that don't know what's happening with the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
We can talk about this after.
Yes, I would be happy to. Comprehensive plan is, as the name implies, it's the comprehensive sort of umbrella plan for the city, a long-term planning document informing many decisions, primarily land use. So we use it a lot at the Planning and Zoning Commission uses it quite a bit, as well as City Council, for certain land use decisions such as rezones and developments, subdivisions. But it's not just limited to that. It's kind of a broad vision for the city 20 years out, right? How we grow, where we grow, what are our values, what do we care about, what do we want to preserve? So our current comp plan, certainly, and I think, I think no one in here would certainly disagree that public art is a vital part of not just public art, but art of all kinds is a real signature aspect to the city. So we have continued that, and we've made some alterations for some draft goals and objectives. So for the process of adopting the comp plan, we're about 2/3 of the way through. We've done a lot of public engagement. We're kind of retuning how we're going to do that going forward. But we had a productive call today with our consultant, and we're still working on these kind of internally. We've had a lot of great feedback from our comprehensive plan steering committee.
And just for transparency, I'm on that committee.
Yes. But we thought at least bringing, the arts and culture specific ones to the Arts Commission, and we're doing the same thing with the Historic Preservation Commission as well. So we wanted to give you guys kind of a first look at what these are. They're still in draft form, and we want to take these along with other items of the plan, such as the future land use map, which will inform like what can be built where to the public. We'll probably take those for a broader public outreach effort we talked about in late June.
Mhm.
So we want some time to kind of really get our fingers in, because they're really important. They inform really major decisions, right? And they're our guiding document that we're held to. A comprehensive plan is really the only plan that you're required to have as a city or county. So it carries some weight. And it can also help, it can also be advantageous in applying for grants. Certainly was, and it has been for many grants that we've applied for, existing comp plan. And that, is I think with regards to public art and art programming generally, I think that is something to, something to be cognizant of, to support our, furthering the public art program and art programming, and it can also be no reason why it can't be utilized by certain organizations in their own applications for grant funding, for example. And that's just one example of how it relates directly to furthering our goals around public art. And so here they are, our draft goals and objectives specific to arts and culture. I hope you've all had a chance to read them. It's don't be afraid to really, get in the details. Words matter, and we want to make sure this is as good as it can be and has support behind it, because the plan is only as good as, the community support it has behind it. So.
And there's been quite a bit of public input into this so far.
Not specifically in the goals and objectives. We haven't brought that to the public yet, but so thank you though, because this is really based off of the visioning we've done with the public.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So, and the steering committee and the planning commission. And also, which is essentially based off of a lot of work council did around their strategic plan. And I could also bring that up to show if you want. It's always good to kind of go back to that.
Oh, sure.
Vision, which we have not shared specifically with this body, but maybe I should have thought to post that, but it's perfectly okay.
So when I'm thinking about this, I'm going back to something that Aaron said, a broad vision for 20 years ahead. So I'm thinking forward to even my grandchildren when thinking about this document. So just keep that in mind. It's not for necessarily today, although it does help today when you're making those decisions, but we're always trying to be forward thinking, at least in my mind.
Yeah. And another component of the plan, and thank you for reminding me, sort of the last bit of public, series of public input that we'll do, or the last component of it will be, draft plan, but also the implementation strategies. Mm-hmm. So there's goals, objectives. Goal is a broad-based, overarching goal. Objective is kind of the elements within that goal. But the implementation strategies are, well, how are we going to get there, right? And that will come later towards the end. And what do we prioritize, right?
What's the projected date for completing that particular draft, or when this goes?
For to have the comprehensive plan adopted?
Or maybe even the interim, where you actually put the draft together, it goes before the city, and when is that projected,
September.
In September?
And, possibly a little later. The original was to kind of early September, end of August. We've pushed that back because of the situation. So it will be, for the final draft, I would say in September with, potentially adoption in that month, if not maybe October.
Is there any artistic element to future building, like Boise adopted new buildings in the future have an artistic element, or is there anything like that in that strategic planning that future businesses and future new buildings will like honor the historic elements, or will
Absolutely,
have artistic elements to the building? I don't know if that's enforceable, but
certainly architectural detail, and that's something that we're really taking a close look at, and the Historic Commission will be taking a close look at. We do have draft goal. I didn't include that in your packet.
right.
You know, but that, and that's building off of previous work we've done,
Okay.
having established a citizen advisory committee specific to historic preservation within the downtown, and not just the downtown, but surrounding areas. So, but yes, we haven't got into implementation strategies, but, you know, but as an example, and we don't know this, one thing we were just talking about yesterday, but we want to vet with the Historic Commission is certainly have an objective to retain the historic character of downtown, for example.
Right.
One implementation way to do that might be to establish a local historic district or an overlay zone.
Oh, okay.
For example, I mean, that's something that could be an implementation strategy, right?
Right.
To, you know, for a certain specific area. Because right now we have a historic district,
Right.
but it's essentially voluntary.
Right.
And, you know, we don't know. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe it's not.
Right.
But that's an example of what, you know, we could implement.
Okay. And I know, I think in Boise, it's a percentage of building fees or something like that that comes back to the arts for the artistic elements, or I'm not sure exactly how that plays in, but that buildings over, you know, a certain amount of construction have to have an artistic element, which would tie back into us a little bit. So, and I guess that's why I was getting that for the future. I mean, you're talking 20 years. I'd like to see everybody in construction have an artistic element in mind in construction, because we value the arts in our community. So
well, that's something to consider. That, you know, that's, if you guys want to recommend something like that, we can certainly consider that.
Okay.
That sounds like an implementation strategy, right?
Right.
Adopt a fee or requirement for provision of public art.
Yeah.
For, you know, buildings over a certain size or value of construction or something like that. As long as it ties back to a goal or objective.
Right.
So, we kind of got off a little bit, but going back to the vision, which the goals and objectives are based off of.
Right.
And I'm showing you kind of the most recent edits. Sorry, I should have but so the overall community vision: celebrate our local cultural character and connections with our scenic surroundings, and cultivate a resilient and vibrant community for generations to come. The 5 pillars for the vision. And this is based off of the council strategic work that they have done, strategic plan. Responsive government, resilient economy, sustainable development, vibrant culture, livable community. Kind of drill down into different values around that. So probably most specific to art and historic preservation. Community design, which is a component in and of itself of the comprehensive plan. There's a lot of goals and objectives. I didn't want to overwhelm the whole document. We're not really ready to release the whole thing to the public yet. There's still a lot of work being done internally with various staff members involved.
The reason that was so, I mean, obviously art's always in the forefront, but also is that the SURA funding runs out and so that's why I was just trying to figure out a way that this is kind of implanted in the vision and the planning that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing to be cognizant of, because yes, it will in 2029.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yep. Is that what it is? Yeah, I thought so.
So what does that mean going?
Yes.
What's happening beyond that?
Beyond that, yeah.
So what is there an objective? And then later, well, how do we implement that objective? Is it, where's the funding source?
Funding
for it?
source, yes.
Yeah.
And if we've got a vision in the strategic planning here, then that will set us in that motion step beyond that.
Totally getting this. I love it. Anyway, so this is, backing up to the vision. Sandpoint community is inspired to create, experience, and support our history, social events, recreational pursuits, and art of all kinds.
Nice.
Livable community. I won't read off everything within it, but development encourages connections among people through a diverse mix of housing, walkable and bikeable neighborhoods. They're safe and secure, ready access to recreational facilities and public spaces, and robust street and digital infrastructure. So the former is probably more applicable to the Arts Commission works on, but it's still related as the art you do,
Right.
art you approve as public art and relates to the streetscapes and so that's the vision. Should we go back to the goals and objectives?
Sure.
And that you kind of have done an okay job of giving you the whole orbit of how this all interconnects. So the goal, value arts and culture as an expression of community character as well as an economic generator. Encourage and facilitate a broad range of community arts events, performances, and exhibits. Use indoor and outdoor city-owned facilities for arts and cultural exhibits and events. Partner with existing facilities, particularly schools and nonprofits, to make their facilities available for civic and cultural purposes. Support the creation and evolution of arts and creative districts within Sandpoint to bring together and capitalize on local talent, entrepreneurs, and diversity and creativity of the community. Honor Sandpoint's history through interpretive signage, historic plaques, art, and other public displays. Expand the existing public art program to promote the display of art in public facilities and throughout the community in accordance with an adopted arts and culture plan.
I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to have economic in that first thing tied to the arts.
Yeah, definitely.
I am so
yeah.
Having that be like the first thing that's read is trips my trigger. I'm not going to buy that. I just love that to remind people there's an economic value to that art, the public art, to the art in, Canada and everywhere else, and to the outdoor parts that are there. So yeah, I love that. Excellent job on all parts there.
So are there any omissions, glaring omissions or red flags, first of all?
No, because I was a little concerned about the city and the art thing, but then you tied it back in with schools and nonprofits and organizations. The only thing is to make sure we're not really leaving out, businesses too, but that was a good tie-in.
And this will inform and circle back with the arts and culture plan.
Yes.
Right.
Could you explain what a creative district is?
Versus an arts
That would be under
policy.
Part D.
So an example, our sort of draft future, we worked on kind of identifying areas of, great work that can go into the master plan this body has of where good locations for future art and also districts. So a district is kind of be a neighborhood or it could be an area within a neighborhood, sort of its own kind of unique, area within the city that may have its own kind of feel to it, right? And typically that kind of pairs along with sort of gateways into the district. Gateways mean just kind of visual cues, like, a change, a sense of arrival has occurred into a different sort of sub area of the city. And one of the areas that's been identified, both in that kind of preliminary work that you've done, as well as the downtown master plan, is like the Granary as an arts district, right? Because its own kind of feel with its own, specifically a creative arts district. And it is kind of, I think that vision is, really starting to fold.
Oh, yeah.
So did I answer your question?
They could have its own artistic character.
Yeah.
Well,
When we say districts and planneries, it's kind of it comes from urban design sort of definitions and principles. So you have districts, you have activity nodes, you have pathways, and you have gateways.
is art district and creative district redundant?
It might be. That's a good question, and it's probably more of what you're asking, I'm guessing.
Our creative art district.
Well, that's true.
It's
The
mere-
whole sentence of D is just putting me over the edge, especially the word diversity. Do you mean the diversity because of the local talent, or what kind of diversity are you talking about? And why is it stuck like right in the middle? And diversity, and that needs to be somewhere else in that sentence. You know what I'm saying? It's just, what kind of diversity? Diversity of the local talent. We're so diverse. We have so many different types of entrepreneurs. We have a lot of creative types. Is that the diversity that we're talking about? Or what, you can't just say diversity.
Yeah.
Genre diversity.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could
The
say,
word diverse might be more appropriate rather than diversity. The diversity suggests a racial connotation to a lot of people, I would assume.
Well, and I'm not looking at it like that. I'm looking at it like, well, what do we mean by diversity? Do we, are we saying that because of the great diversity of different talents in the community, this is, so that's my question about D.
you could almost simplify that by saying creative diversity, because that kind of qualifies what kind of diversity it is.
Yeah.
And then either strike the and creative district, and creative, so that it's an art district, or you could say creative arts district. Because I'm still not clear on if
I think, if you
an art
said,
district and a
if you
creative
said
district is the same.
entrepreneurs and creative diversity of the community, instead of and diversity and,
An alternative, just for consideration, is to say capitalize on diverse local talent, entrepreneurs,
Yes.
and creativity of the community.
yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Would you like that? Is that
Yes.
I like more diverse talent than diverse local talent, because we
on the?
Oh, that's true.
highlight, we want to bring in all sorts of cultures and things that to be a part of our artistic culture that I'm not sure I like the word local in there is all I'm saying.
Well, it's
We're already
arguably
saying-
redundant because we say of the community.
Of the
Yeah, so you don't really need local.
yeah.
Okay. Diverse goes on the
Talent, entrepreneurs,
diverse talent, entrepreneurs, and creativity.
Yeah.
Community, is that
okay, support the creation and launch of arts and
what is that here?
capitalize on the diverse talent, entrepreneurs, and creativity of the community. That
We
works.
don't need this,
We don't
Okay,
need
maybe
that.
we do.
Yeah, I think we do.
We need
Okay.
the.
Okay. So back to Ms. Barry's original question, arts and creative districts. So I honestly don't have a good answer of what's the difference between an arts district and a creative district. I guess it's open to interpretation. A creative district could, maybe mean a area where there's a lot of performances versus an arts district. I don't know. I'm
The
just
arts
kind of
is-
making stuff.
The arts encompasses all that anyway. The
Sure.
fine arts encompasses music,
Well-
theater.
On the other hand, and if it's innovation, district, for example,
Right.
where it's not necessarily an arts district with a lot of public art, but it's an area where artists work, a series of, industrialized,
Okay.
work, maybe
So-
studios with not, maybe that's more of a creative district. I'm just trying
No,
to
okay, so
think
that
back
is a
to
good
where
point.
that came
Yeah.
from.
Great. That would make more
My
sense.
brain's a little melted today from all this.
No, that would make more sense if you're planning an artist community with
Yes,
studios.
Right.
That would be more of a creative district as opposed to. I mean,
Maybe.
I could see that happening. Okay. Well, that's
so maybe it should be rephrased differently, possibly. But,
I like the broadness of it as long as it's not redundant. So.
all right. Good feedback. I guess my question, if unless you want to talk more about this particular objective.
I like all the other points.
No, the D was the only one that needed a
Okay,
little change.
thank you. If you don't mind, to Patricia's point about maintaining, identifying future funding sources, I guess my question is, F, I think maybe speaks to that to some degree, is that expand the existing public art program to promote display of art in public facilities and throughout the community in accordance with an updated arts and culture plan. I mean, that might be broad enough
That's pretty broad, but
Because you want a little bit broad.
implementation,
Yeah, you
you would,
need to-
like, an objective, you wouldn't want to necessarily say, charge a fee.
right.
Right,
But
right.
that's when,
Yeah.
is that enough? Are you satisfied with that as an objective?
You could even
Lead
say,
into potential implementation policies to
Yeah.
expand the existing
future
public
arts
art program.
enhancement.
I'm not saying it is, and you mentioned that, I just wanted to
I
make
don't know
sure
how to
it was-
word it. I just wanted to make sure it was in the vision, but I don't know quite how to word that
Yeah.
there.
And it's easy to get kind of confused, but distill an objective versus a
Right.
implementation strategy, It can get a little.
And
muddy.
sometimes, even after it's done, 5 years from now, you take a look at it and say, maybe we should have included this in there, and you can always change it. It's not written in, stone.
Right, yes. And in fact, due to the current situation, where it raises a lot of questions, it's kind of interesting that we're planning for the future when no one can say for certain what the future holds. We want to put a provision in the comp plan that says, should be reviewed within a year or two. Normally, it's good practice to review a comp plan every 7 years.
5 to 7, yeah.
And some states require that, but it's just good practice anyway.
All right. So if we're happy with this, do we need to, well, it is an action item. Do we need to vote, or
Yeah.
should we just bring this back to the
I don't-
steering committee?
I don't think you need to. I think just, your feedback, we're not, that I can bring back to, ultimately to the planning commission and then to city council.
Oh, okay.
But we'll first vet it with the public as well.
Okay.
No, really just kind of wanted your feedback. I don't think you need to make a formal motion for
Okay.
this.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments about this?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, great, thank you.
Thank you.
And if anything comes up in the meantime, feel free to just email me directly. You know, we always want to be sensitive of open meeting law. We don't want to create discussion online, but if you have any other specific edits or something comes to mind later, let me know.
Okay.
And that goes, you know, throughout the whole comprehensive plan process, frankly, on anything.
Sounds good. Now, I did have something, usually we have the matters from commissioners or staff at the bottom, but they're not here. Oh yeah, we don't have any new business, so there's that. Well, thank you, Aaron, for all that explanation also.
Sure.
That was good. Nice. So no new business. I do have some matters from the staff. So as far as the our beautiful arts, culture, and historical preservation master plan, the call closed like last month now. It's been closed for a while, and we have some people that applied.
That's my understanding. I have not seen the.
Okay.
I have not seen the submissions.
Okay.
Sorry, no use to you for that
Okay.
right now. But I can inquire and get back. to
Okay.
you.
Actually, I did talk to Jennifer this morning, and she asked me to ask if once everything has been finalized and we have a consultant on board, how this group wants to approach perhaps being on the steering committee or having a small group on the steering committee and then having other people on the steering committee from the public or wherever we decide, staff decides, whatever. So I guess we need to know what your guys' opinions are about that.
How many of us can be on this steering committee without it being?
You know, general rule of thumb is you don't want a steering committee over like 12, more than 12 people. It just
Right.
gets, you know, too many people.
And we also have to consider that the Historic Preservation Commission is also asking the same question. So if they, you know, it may depend on how many we both commissions have. So
How many altogether could possibly be on there with what
I'm
they're
thinking
doing?
3 or 4 maybe. And then, you know, they have a small commission. So even if they had 3 or 4, then we still have room for quite a few other people.
That seems like
Yeah,
a good
there's-
amount, 3 to 4.
Yeah. And I know that, you know, not everybody on our commission has the free time available to make that happen. So I figured that was probably a decent number.
If there's more than 4 of you,
Oh, right,
I
right.
was
So
getting
3.
at
that makes a
Yes.
quorum, yeah.
that's a
3.
quorum. That's what I was worried about,
Okay.
that question. So that's why I was asking what our
Oh.
maximum number. If it's 4, then that seems like a reasonable amount.
No, you're right. So 3.
Well, not over 4, right? We can have.
Well, unless
up
we
to
notice
4.
for it, you know, unless we,
Oh, true. I mean, so that's an option though. I mean, we're just kind of feeling this out. So,
hmm,
3? Okay.
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
How many's on the Historic Preservation Commission? But would any of you be interested in doing that? I mean, I certainly would.
I would.
I would. But I'm open to somebody else too.
Okay.
So.
I'm sure we could work it out. Depending on who, you know, who has the time open. My schedule's fairly flexible, so I could,
Mine's really flexible.
although I'm on the, yeah, Carol's always available. Call Carol. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So then can they have, when you have 6, when you have an even number, how many makes a quorum?
3, right?
4,
Four?
still 4,
Okay.
okay. Okay. All right. Well, so,
3 out of each, for 3 from each.
Unless, the other option is that we joint, for every meeting, we do a joint, it's basically
A joint meeting.
joint meeting with historic and arts.
That's not a bad idea.
oh,
We
because
just
then
need-
that,
I mean, I haven't talked to Jennifer about this, but that is an option.
Yeah.
right. I think she's just feeling out what,
I'd be interested in joining as a Historic Preservation Commission or as a committee.
say that again?
Is a Historic Preservation a commission or a committee?
It's a commission.
Commission.
Same open meeting law applies.
Can you be on 2 commissions at a time?
Well, this is a steering committee,
Well, I mean,
but
or what's your question?
Well, I just wondered what it was, and
Oh,
I have a lot of preservation background,
oh,
and I thought I'd be more than happy to help in some way if that's
right.
needed.
Okay,
So just let me know.
okay,
I'm just offering that.
perfect. Okay. All right.
well, we don't have to solve it right now.
No, we don't. We have time. This will be yeah, it seems like everything is kind of slowed down a little bit. That's okay. Okay, well, I think that's it. Does anybody else have any other
I had
questions,
one. I was
comments?
going to do it on old business, but we went kind of through there. I wondered if we had any updates on the wraps
Oh, yeah, good
because
question.
of all the changes and things, if that had slowed down. Originally, the wrap by the Canada was supposed to be in by the car show, but I haven't heard any updates, so I didn't know if
Oh,
I
the
haven't
wraps
either.
are still
I
on
either.
target or,
Think Linda had anything for this meeting, so
okay. All right,
I can inquire about that as well.
okay. Perfect.
Is the new boxes installed? Excuse
New
me.
box is installed.
Okay.
So,
Right. Well,
Oh, the
yeah,
cabinet, so the cabinet, yeah. Yeah, downtown is slated to be done today.
those are
fantastic.
beautiful lights, street lights.
It's interesting. One thing you don't necessarily pick up on right away is, I noticed this on Cedar when we did it, is, you stand there and it just looks, there's something about the buildings that look nicer.
Yes,
And what it is, I think, is the fact that there aren't cables going
Yes.
from light to light up
Yes.
above,
Very nice.
yes,
It's something you don't, it's subtle, but it
right,
makes a difference.
yes.
So,
Because I've been pointing out the street lamps and they're like, and then they stop and they go, wow, why does that look so much nicer? And they don't realize what they don't see.
mhm.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, you like the shape? I'm like, it's more than the shape. Take a look back there. So
Mhm.
it's nice. So
Yeah. Really
Less
proud
visual
of
noise.
our team, Dan and Bruce and everybody
it
who,
was a nice,
Give
an
us a
artistic
second.
element to it that is appreciated as well. So.
Good. All right, anything else from commissioners? All right, then let's adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
thank you.